I'm joined today with who I have in my spreadsheet as the MC of Last Resort, Dan Dawson. Dan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, Bert, and yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. And first of all, when Alex said to me earlier that we were going to have you on the show, he asked if I had any questions. And I just said, maybe we should just let you talk about Andrew Gilding for 20 minutes, but we'll limit it to just one question. Just how good was that Friday in Barnsley a few weeks ago when Goldfinger made his first final in, I think, 8 years?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible, isn't it? I mean, that's what it's about. I think I said in commentary that, I was there on the day that he got his tour card back. And he said, look, I've done this before. I've played incredible darts. The UK Open semi-final run, the finals he's made before. Why can't I do it again? And that's exactly the right mindset that any player who gets back on the tour should have. Then why can't they just recapture their old glories? But whether they do or not, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, does it? But for him to play like that day, and he's played some good stuff around that as well. It wasn't just like one magical day he had. Then it should give every player hope. If you've done it before, then you can do it again. Admittedly, he hasn't won a title before, and he still hasn't won a title. But if he plays like that, if he has more days like that, he'll put himself in the mix. And if you keep on doing that, eventually it'll happen for you. And we've seen players go and win titles after years and years of trying. Mickey Mansell took 10 years of trying and got a title. And once you've got it, they're never going to take it away from you. And it's a massive, massive achievement. And so, I very much enjoyed it, Burton.
Glad to hear. Well, let's circle back a few weeks, and we chatted in the players' room backstage in Minehead before the UK Open got underway. Apart from correcting Nico on the D Ream lyrics, what were your highlights from the weekend?
I mean, there was loads. I love the UK Open anyway. I think when we were talking about it, it just feels like lots of tournaments all bundled into one mad weekend in a holiday camp. But the young lads coming through, Keane Barry. I think we said in the practice room, didn't we? We pointed out Keane Barry and said it wouldn't surprise you if he went on a run. Or I think my exact words might have been, I don't think he's ready to make like a final or a semi-final yet. So I was wrong there. But it was incredible seeing him play with such maturity. The performance against James Wade, knocking out the defending champion, was magnificent. But then Sebastian Białecki, I mean, he came out of absolutely nowhere. What a throw that lad has. And it was exciting seeing the youngsters perform. And I think that's probably the main takeaway from it. Obviously, congratulations to Danny Noppert for winning it. It's mad that he's played one of his worst tournaments and managed to win his first PDC major, because he's played loads better than that and got nowhere near winning big titles. In fact, he hasn't even got that many titles in PDC darts, but congrats to him. But I think it's the young players who really stood out over the course of that weekend, and it was very, very encouraging to see. The game's going to be in good hands over the next few years.
Well, you mentioned Danny Noppert there. It basically answered our next question. So we'll skip ahead on our today. But on that final day, you were part of ITV's team interviewing players on stage after the final, which, of course, Danny Noppert won in the last leg against Michael Smith. But let's talk about Michael Smith then, coming so close yet again to that first major. Are those, though, you interviewed him on the stage after that, is that some of the more challenging moments in your role, interviewing a player so soon after a defeat like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's never easy interviewing people who've just lost, particularly when that felt like a significant defeat for Michael. But, it's part of the job. And it's not just part of my job, it's part of his job. To go and play darts for hundreds of thousands of pounds, then people are going to want to hear from you. And so that's just comes with the territory. It's part of being a professional darts player. It was tough seeing him like that, but that's what sport's about. It's about people winning, people losing. And I'm still a firm believer that Michael Smith will be a major title winner. He'll certainly win loads of other titles. He's playing some decent stuff. So, look, you can't have the highs without the lows. It's unfortunate for Michael Smith and his legion of fans that he's had quite a fair few lows in big TV finals, but it will come. I firmly believe that. But you're right. It's a tough situation, but as long as you handle it with a bit of sensitivity, then you're all right. I mean, just don't go up to him and say, flipping out, Michael, you really bottled that, didn't you? You're rubbish, aren't you? I bet you're feeling really bad. Because, that doesn't achieve anything, does it? You still want to know how it feels, though, because we all, as sports fans, have this sort of vicarious pleasure of watching people succeed and, conversely, watching people fail. That's what sport's all about.
Well, we're well into the Premier League season now, 6 nights left to go before the playoffs. You've been providing radio updates during the tournament. Where does your opinion sit on the new format now that we've had over half the season?
Yeah, great format. I think it's brilliant. My opinion hasn't really changed from the very start of it, to be honest. When they announced it, I thought, that's really good. Each night you've got a tournament to play for. You've got somebody who's crowned a winner. It feels like a meaningful little night of darts, and I think that's borne through over the first few weeks of it. And so I think it's great for the fans in there. It feels like they've seen something more valuable than perhaps seeing a few league stage games where, by and large, win, lose or draw, 2 points, 0 points or 1 point, it often didn't make that much difference to the table. The table looks very fluid from week to week. And the amount of times that we've seen players at the bottom of the table go and win the night and catapult themselves right up back into contention, I think it makes it very interesting. I think that's a reflection of the fact where we are in the world darts now, where we haven't got anybody who is outright dominating. If it was this format a few years ago when Van Gerwen was winning everything, maybe it would feel a bit different, because you'd be turning up and watching Van Gerwen play 3 games, win 3 games, and just annihilate everybody week after week after week. But I think it actually works very well. We are seeing a lot of the games again and again and again, and I think that we might see this format evolve over the coming years, where there's so much strength in depth that we could introduce other players. But it's going to be tricky, because the Premier League, of course, is all about selling tickets and people wanting to watch, and people turn on and go to their one night at the darts for the year because they want to see the very best. They want to see Van Gerwen, they want to see Peter Wright or whoever. And if you don't have the very, very big names in for the particular night when it comes to your local town, then it might not be the big draw that it has become. So I think it's a very difficult one to balance. But in general, I think the format's great. And personally, I really like it. But we are going to see a lot of the same games. We are seeing a lot of the same games. Turns out, though, they're very, very unpredictable. So that does keep it fresh.
Now, away from the PDC, we've seen plenty of other darts already this year. The World Senior Championships at the Circus Tavern, as well as the WDF World Championship at the Lakeside. I know you're kept very busy with PDC work, but were either of those events ever on the table for you to work on as well?
Lakeside, I would have loved to work the Lakeside. It just didn't marry up with me being able to do it. So I watched quite a lot of it on the telly, which was good. I thought it was really good. I thought it was positive. The production looked and sounded good. Murphy is about time he was doing some TV work, because he's, as much as it pains me to say it, he is excellent. I thought there were a lot of good people involved on the Lakeside coverage. I thought it turned out to be a really good tournament. There were stories, it was interesting, and we saw some very, very encouraging stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I purely as a fan, I didn't look the senior stuff. I'm not the biggest. It doesn't excite me, to be honest. I like, there's a sort of, everybody's got their favourite players that they like to see, but, you sort of bring out these legendary old names, and a lot of them are just getting absolutely annihilated by the ones who are still playing darts. I think a lot of us were expecting, the likes of Robert Thornton and Kevin Burness and Kevin Painter, the ones who've been playing regular darts, they're going to be much sharper. And even the great Phil Taylor coming back out to play, he's just wasn't up to the job. Now, I know they've got a load more senior tournaments planned, but we'll see if Phil puts in the hard work that's necessary. But it's a big ask for someone of that age, and it didn't excite me that much, to be honest. So yeah, I won't be beating a path to the door to watch it. I'll still turn on and watch a little bit because I like darts. But yeah, it was the Lakeside stuff that really got me going, to be honest.
Touching on the Lakeside stuff that we did see, the WDF, I know that's an area of darts that you've been following closely as well. What did you make of them getting their World Championship on after such a long wait with everything that's gone on? And where do you see the future of the WDF going forward?
Well, look, I was delighted to see it. I think they play a vital role. I think they're important for the game, and I think that a good functioning WDF with well-run tournaments and an avenue, an opportunity for players who aren't in the PDC system and players all over the world, as well as all the other stuff they do. Not just elite men and women's darts, but they're responsible for all sorts of things, be disability darts, all this sort of stuff. It's important for the sport, and so I want it to succeed. I think it's important that it does. I won't lie, it's going to be very, very difficult because they've got to make it work financially, and it's unless you've got big pots of money to set up some sort of organisation with the expertise and the nous to make it work, then it's going to be very difficult. They don't want to compete with the PDC, no matter what anybody else tells you. I think it'd be a great avenue for players to come to the PDC. It will help the PDC. What the future holds, I do not know. All I can speak to is that I watched the Lakeside. I thought it was good. I thought the production was good. I enjoyed the darts, and there's got some really good players and players that you might see going and doing things in the PDC. I mean, Thibaut Tricol is the perfect example. For a French player to go and reach a world final and get coverage in his home country, that could provide an avenue for the growth of darts and the elite level of the PDC into a country like France. And Thibaut won't be the last player from an unheralded country to come and showcase his talents in that WDF system, as long as it can survive and hopefully thrive. So I sincerely hope that that's what happens over the next few years. But it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be difficult, but fingers crossed.
Now, on Friday last week, the world of darts had some sad and shocking news with the passing of Nigel Pearson, a well-known voice in the commentary box, doing darts for the last 15 years, as well as Speedway and a few other sports. What are some memories that will stick with you from being around Nigel in the press room and more recently this year working some of the Pro Tours together?
Yeah, I mean, look, Nigel was supposed to be with us in Munich this last weekend, and I got the news the night before. And obviously it's devastating. He was a guy that I knew before I was seriously doing the darts. I'd moved up to Birmingham back when I first started covering the World Championship, and that was the only tournament I did it for the radio. And he lives up round here, and I was introduced to him by mutual friends, and we'd go and have a drink in the pub, and we'd play darts to a crap standard, and we'd laugh and we'd joke. He was always so supportive of not just me, but loads of people. And look, you'll have seen it over the last few days, the tributes from all over the place that have come in for Nige just speak to what kind of a man he was. He was funny. He could sniff out a Guinness from 700 yards. And he was so friendly and supportive. He was never protective of what he had. He wanted to help other people do what they could to help them achieve their goals. And certainly, he was supportive of me and encouraging when I was starting out in the sport. And yeah, it was a horrible shock. And he was of no age, was he? I mean, 52, and with his wife Kerry and his daughter and two young lads, it's just a horrible, horrible tragedy. And there's nothing really, however many tributes we say, it doesn't stop or doesn't mitigate the tragedy of it. But what I would say is there's some comfort to be found in just seeing the flood of tributes for people who held him in such high regard. And look, I certainly was one of those. He was a thoroughly fun, nice, supportive guy.
Some nice words. And back to you, and we saw you help out with the emceeing for part of the Euro Tour at the weekend. Unfortunately, I missed it, but how was it? And did you bring back your "It's time for the darts" catchphrase?
I did, yes, I did. I mean, I had to do a bit in German, so it was tricky, to be honest. I mean, I was only doing, again, the MC of last resort, because their normal MC, Phil, had to go and do an exhibition for PDC Europe elsewhere in Germany that night, where Mark Webster played, didn't win a leg. But yeah, it was just something different. I mean, I've done a number of different jobs in this sport now, and it's nice to do different things just to keep it fresh and interesting. I'm not John McDonald. I don't think I'm ever going to be John McDonald, but if I can fill in and do something that's a bit interesting. Plus, I'm doing it on the European Tour, best tour in professional sport. We had 3,000 Germans packed in, so it was fun, and the crowd were decent. And yeah, it was very, very enjoyable, and turned out to be a great weekend as well. You know, Martin Lukeman versus Luke Humphries in the final. If you pick that one, then fair play to you. I know we've all been saying Luke Humphries is going to win things, but I didn't expect him to win a Euro Tour beating Martin Lukeman in the final last weekend in Munich. But it happened, and I was very pleased that it did, because it was some brilliant stuff all weekend.
Let's talk about that. Luke Humphries got his hand on his first Euro Tour title, and more importantly, a Munich pork sword. A big weekend for Martin Lukeman. And do you think that might open a lot of doors for him this year?
I think he'd already opened them anyway. I mean, even before he'd got to the final, even before that weekend, you were looking at the. I mean, I know you love a table, Burton, but you're looking at it and going, he's doing enough. He's going to be at the match play and stuff like that, and he's just further cemented it. And with the match play and probably the European Championship and the Players' Championship finals and the Worlds and all this other stuff, things are happening for Martin Lukeman. And all right, he's not posting some of the mad numbers that we're seeing from other players who are really laying down markers saying, oh, they could be first-time title winners. The likes of Luke Humphries last year, for example, or what Martin Schindler's doing at the minute. But he's winning games and he's looking good and he's playing better than he ever has before. And it's fun and it's interesting watching people develop and mature and become world-class performers when they haven't done it before, because they don't know how good they're going to be. I know that, you know, everybody says I'm a world champion in practice. If I play my game, I can beat anybody. But until you do, it's just talk. And Martin Lukeman is certainly taking some big steps in his career, and I'm glad to see it, because he's a good guy and he's an entertaining player to watch. But Luke Humphries, I mean, it seemed like it's only a matter of time before he starts winning things, and he's got a Pro Tour title under his belt now, and now he's added a Euro Tour title to it, and he is very, very quickly looking like a very, very realistic prospect of winning something big on the telly. But we know the pitfalls of making those confident predictions, because there are so many players who look like they could do it, and many players who we expected to have already done it and haven't yet.
And lastly, before we let you go, we know how much you love the Euro Tour, but we should mention next month you're going to be absent for one of them. Instead, you're going to be at the World Chase Tag Championships in London. How much are you looking forward to watching your second love chase tag?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, when I was talking with the Chase Tag guys, we were supposed to do a whole bunch of stuff through COVID. Like, I was going to be doing it in Mexico and America and all sorts of stuff, and it just didn't happen because nothing was happening. But I did say, look, listen, lads, I can't miss any TV tournaments if I'm working at them, and I can't miss any Euro Tours. It's, you know, that's my thing. But I can't really turn this down, to be honest, lads. So I'm going to have to miss a Euro Tour in Zwolle. And I've got conflicting emotions about it, because it is the Euro Tour. But on the other hand, if you've not watched Chase Tag, go and watch it. It's all on YouTube and it's really, really good. So change is as good as a rest. I will come back refreshed post Zwolle. And I don't know, I mean, I won't have any parkour skills, but I think it might even help my darts commentary. It's good to do something different. But yeah, it'll be great. And I would urge anybody who fancies coming down to York Hall, if they're not watching the darts on PDC TV, or in fact, bring your laptop. Come down York Hall, it's free to get in, watch some of the greatest parkour athletes in the world, and you can have the Euro Tour on a laptop, because that'll help me out, actually, because I'm going to have to use my laptop for research. So if you just want to come stand by me, put the Euro Tour on as well, and I can sort of multitask. That'll be handy.
It's going to be really weird when Andrew Gilding finally wins his first PDC title.
Don't you flipping dead. Do not even suggest it. If that happened, look, if Gilding finds his way through to the final session, I'm just putting the microphone down and I'm getting to Zvola. I'm running to Zvola. Or I'm going to get a piggyback from one of the parkour lads, and I'm just going to demand they take me to the Netherlands because I won't miss that. But yeah, don't even tease me with that prospect, Burn, because that's not fair.
Well, Dan, apologies to end with that tease, but thank you so much for joining us.
That's my absolute pleasure. Keep up the good work, lads.